Awesome. Okay. Araceli, did you have a chance to download the workbook?
No, sorry.
That's okay.
After this, I'm gonna do it.
Do you have pen and paper?
Yes, I do, right here.
Yay! You can 100% do it with that. And I'm going to share my screen so you'll see what the digital workbook looks like. Mari printed it out. If you have access to a printer, you can do that. You can also just reference it right on your computer and then just put pen to paper. So that works too. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the H.A.P.I.E goal process. So I created what I call my own version of SMART goals. So the H.A.P.I.E, we're just going to kind of walk through a brief description of what each of those mean, because they are going to inform how we set our food habit, our fitness habit. We're going to reference them to make sure they kind of match like H.A.P.I.E. So I'm going to share my screen right now. All right. Can you guys see this workbook?
Yes.
All right. So I also ended up, when I was kind of creating it for this, I was like, oh, it's a worksheet, but I actually used like 14 pages from the actual physical goal guide that I have. So basically you guys have the whole thing. But I wanted, even outside of this workshop, for you guys to have, you know, everything explained, even in the workbook. So the H stands for habit-based. And essentially you guys don't have to worry about reading everything on my screen. I'm going to do best of a little brief description and explanation of it. But I love the idea of making things habit-based, because so often we get stuck in the mindset of, I need to lose 5 pounds. I need to be a size 4 or size 6, like whatever. You know, we set these results that tend to be kind of out of our control. And a habit is something that I can really look back on. And a habit is, oh, I eat breakfast every day. That's a habit. Right? A habit is something that's starting to happen subconsciously. It's part of my routine. It's a ritual. And it's not something, eventually, it's not something that is a lot of effort is put into it. So give me a thumbs up if that makes sense for the H, habit-based. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right. The A stands for acknowledgement and celebration. So it's proven in science that when we aren't just focused on that end result, but we can have an end result in mind. And if we're acknowledging progress along the way, we're more likely to be, we're like the kindergartner who was just given a gold star. So literally on a weekly basis, if I can acknowledge myself for the workouts I did, or we're all probably cooking a lot of home meals right now, but how much I cooked at home, or maybe I did some meditation or affirmations for my mindset work. And maybe I don't feel like I'm at that end result for where I want my mindset or my fitness or whatever to be. But if I'm acknowledging progress, it's like that little gold sticker that you give a kindergartner, and literally the receptors in our brain say, oh, good job, do more. I'm going to do more of that. Like, you acknowledged me. So it's keeping that celebration regular, and also super simple. Like literally, same thing, like even if we check something off our to-do list, right? We have a little ping of like satisfaction. So it's plugged in here as part of the process. The P is petitely progressive. It's probably my favorite named one. Literally all this means is baby steps. So you've probably heard this before. It's good to start small. And the point and kind of background behind this one and starting super small is, again, when we reach the end of a week or a month and we had set a goal that was maybe one step outside of our comfort zone, but not like a mile outside of our comfort zone, then we look back, and how great does it feel to look back on the week or look back on the month and be like, hey, I actually set these habits I planned on doing. Yes, it is part of, we have to track it, which we're going to go over today when it's a new habit, right? We don't have to track it forever and always. But looking back and being like, oh, I did it. Or I did like at least like 75% of it, which is part of this process as well. Then we can build upon that versus always looking back and being like, I like overwhelmed myself. I bit off more than I could chew. I set the New Year's resolution or the monthly goal or whatever, and I didn't stick to it, or I fell off the wagon and never went back. Can anyone relate to that happening? Yeah. The next one, you'll see that I wrote a novel for. The I stands for internally focused. So the gist of this one is that, especially as women, right? Think of those messages from society, from our peers, maybe something someone said to you even when you were little about like your appearance or your body. And it can kind of inform our internal dialogue. And it can also inform the things we say we want for ourselves. So instead of practicing like pushing all that information aside and really sitting with ourselves, which we're going to do in a second, and being like, what is my next step? You know, how do I want to feel? And maybe running a half marathon isn't my goal. Like maybe that was my best friend's goal, but I hate running, you know? So not just the, you know, choosing goals based on a fad. Sometimes it's choosing goals based on external validation. That's why the word is internal here. So also as women, we tend to be on a transformation trajectory from princess to queen. So you can kind of think of them as personality types. And neither one is wrong or bad. But as we're getting older, like our 20s, 30s, 40s, like we can be more so in princess mode, which means we need to be told we're pretty. We're kind of comparing ourselves more. We need to be told we're doing okay. We need external validation. As we continue to grow and gain wisdom, we're getting more confident in ourselves. We're feeling, you know, more in tune with our purpose in the world. We're feeling that more, you know, like you could step into a room and no matter what you look like, people turn their heads like, wow, she's glowing. She's got great energy. She's, you know, she's beautiful. And literally no matter what you look like. So that is kind of, again, neither one is wrong or bad, but I think all of us can kind of think of our own journey and the own thoughts. And maybe when we're basing our goals on, okay, is this because what someone else wants me to do or what I think I should be doing versus, hey, how do I want to feel? And what is my next step? Make sense for that one?
Yes.
Cool. And then the last one, the E, stands for experimental. So again, with any time we're doing goals, so this is why I don't throw like the baby out with the bathwater where, you know, there's certain approaches out there like a 30-day challenge or whatever. I know you guys are used to challenges. You're both in fitness and have maybe done like a nutrition challenge or something like that. So there can be a great benefit to giving ourselves a certain amount of time with a few specific things we're trying to accomplish. And then of course, the caveat to that is the goal is to carry those habits forward. So this process is always set up in a month's time. So the tracker we're about to look at, you'll see like that's why I wanted to like for sure do this looking at April ahead of us and just seeing like looking at basically the process is habit-based where you're choosing a certain amount of times per week that you're doing something. And then you kind of track it for the whole month. So I'll go over that in a minute. Do you guys have any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we'll come back to this part in a minute. Right now, I'm going to have you ladies just kind of sit up tall and close your eyes for just a minute. So eyes closed, just kind of reflecting on that process, maybe a few things came up for you where you're like, oh, I, haven't been focusing on internal focus. I kind of get pulled into what other people are doing or what I think I should be doing. Or maybe something else came up for you where you've always had a weight goal, and maybe shifting the focus is exactly what you need to find weight balance. So just kind of reflecting on that. And now I want you to pull up what you feel right now is your biggest food and body challenge. So in this season of your life, what is it that feels really powerful that you're struggling with? Right now is a challenging time for all of us. So maybe it's just been being consistent with meals, or maybe it has been beating yourself up if if you kind of gave in and ate some sweets or had an extra drink, whatever it is. Maybe it's, something with fitness, feeling like you haven't been as consistent as you'd like, or maybe it is a body thing where you feel like you haven't seen results that you want to see physically, and you just can't seem to like either change that or just try and let it go mentally and get to a better place. So pull up for yourself what that biggest challenge is. And when you have it, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And I want you to write it down. Your biggest challenge right now. So Mari, in the workbook, one of the very back pages is a vision page. It's like a blank page where there's some space to write that. Does anyone want to share?
I'll share. Here, I can put my video on. I don't feel very well, so I told Tessie I might not have my video on, but I feel like it's awkward. Hi, guys. To talk without, what do you call it? My video. And I'm on the East Coast, so it's nighttime, so we're like winding down. So I look like this.
Glad you're here.
Me too. I would say right now I'm struggling with like emotional eating in the sense of control, because so much is out of control right now about like what's happening with the quarantine and everything. I actually find myself, this is something I was actually thinking about this week. I find myself using food to comfort me. And then I'm also eating so many snacks out of boredom. I'm just eating because I'm bored. Like literally, I know, and this is something also I'm struggling with. I know I'm going to gain weight over this time period. And I've seen so many posts like about like, it's okay if you gain a couple pounds, like whatever. And the other, Tessie knows this, but I had hip surgery, a couple months ago, and I'm still in recovery for it. So I can't even work out like I typically do just to like feel good and like whatever. So I'm struggling. I don't know, like it is like since coronavirus, I'm struggling with boredom and like emotional eating, because it feels like the one thing I have control over is like, my eating. So I'm trying to stay balanced, but I can start to feel myself like slipping in that area. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Can anyone else here relate to that? Maybe a little bit of boredom eating or some emotional stuff. So, and actually what you already have your own awareness around is literally like the explanation of why. So meaning when a lot of times when food behaviors come up, overeating, undereating, whatever, it's literally not about the food, it's about a sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
And when literally our whole world has been flipped upside down. So I think it's important for you to be gentle with yourself around that. And it's also okay to recognize that fear and the thought of like, okay, but I want to control this, and I don't want to gain a few pounds. Like, can that not be what happens to me? And that's okay. And that's where we can pull in that combination of structure and flow, right? The structure is, it's okay for you to find some things that you can control. I've actually had 2 clients recently that I gave them a tip that I used to use when I was skipping lunch, it was just because I was sitting at my computer and I knew I should be having regular meals and I was actually really under eating. And in a time like this, certain things can happen, right? One way or the other. So what I would do is I literally, and you might already do this, I set a timer for every meal.
That's smart.
So I had like an appointment on my phone. You know how my phone always dings 10 minutes before an appointment? So I would get a little notification. You can actually have the actual alarm go off if you want. And to keep it like super simple, I didn't do snacks. I literally just did like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that was my reminder to like eat, and you can use it in the same way where pulling in a little bit of the structure where it might feel difficult. And I definitely want to say experiment with this. But you can also use it in a way where like you don't eat unless your alarm goes off. So with the boredom snacking, like add in an alarm: breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. And that also gives you something to look forward to. And it's like, you've had breakfast, you're recognizing you're bored, like, and that's when the moment you're going for food, there can be an extra level of awareness around like, wait a second, it's not my snack time yet. I'm going to distract myself, or I'm going to chug a glass of water. And this doesn't always work, because stress and emotional eating, when we're in the moment, I 100% also want to acknowledge that I don't want to make it sound easy to just say, oh, choose a distraction, which, that's not, my jam. But if we do try and create a pause between the stimulus of boredom / a whole environment of stress triggering us a space between stimulus and response, we can choose something different. And then the second thing I would say is like, something else that's been helping me is finding like some recipes that are sort of like medium healthy. Like if you tend to go for those like cookies or, treats, like, I've seen you've made some of, Olivia's recipes, which like our friend is a chef and she makes everything is like gluten-free and I think sugar-free.
I use sugar.
Okay.
but there is an option to use non-sugar. Yes.
I made chocolate chip cookies last week and I sweetened them with just monk fruit. I got it like delivered from Whole Foods, I think. And it literally tasted exactly like regular cookies. So that is another option, is see what ingredients or what new treats you can have that fulfill that exact same thing, but have a little more whole food base to them. Yeah. Does anyone else want to share their challenge? No pressure.
Well, it was very similar. A lot of overeating and a lot of carbs, because that's like so comforting, and a lot of not nutritious carbs, so, and then I feel so guilty. I do my workouts every day. And then, and then I'm like, oh, well, I worked out, I need food. And then just keeps going. Once I start, it just starts and I can't stop. Just keep going and going and going. So, yeah.
You're eating fast?
Yes. And I remember something you said to me, or I read something that you wrote down somewhere, to really taste your food and choose slowly. And I've been keeping that. You said that, right? Yeah, okay. And I've been keeping that in the back of my mind. And I remember it sometimes. But sometimes I'm just like, I'm so hungry. And I just like start eating because it's really good. And I just like eat a lot, like really fast. And it's a terrible habit, but yeah.
So that's another thing. There's a tool I use, and again, it's completely a practice. So it's 100% okay if it doesn't happen every time. But one thing you can do, well, I'm going to give you 2 things. One thing is, when that moment comes and you're about to like eat the carbs and like maybe eat a lot of them, I call it ritualizing the eating. So ritualizing means you're giving yourself complete permission to do what you're about to do. But you are going to start with a serving size. You're going to create an enjoyable environment, whether that means lighting a candle, literally setting the table, undistracted, as if you're like about to sit down for a fine dining experience. Because part of like what happens before we even take a bite is a cephalic phase digestive response, which is in our head, which means like just taking in the smell and the colors and like letting our mouth start to water. Our digestive enzymes are already kind of pumping up, and that's going to help you recognize that you're eating. It's going to help your body and your appetite come to, and like the brain in your belly and the brain in your head kind of communicate to each other as you're eating it slow to say, oh, I had a treat, I ate it slow. If you eat that serving size, still keeping permission. So this is the practice, because when we feel guilty, this is the practice to try and get out of. So giving yourself permission, hey, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to eat it slow, I'm going to enjoy it. Maybe I'll try having a few sips of water to kind of, get that savory taste out of my mouth to like try and end the craving and move on. But if I want another serving size, I'm totally allowed. So I'd be curious, if you try that, you might find that while, of course, maybe the ultimate goal is, okay, I don't even want to be eating that stuff. Maybe the very first goal is, hey, I'm able to now have a serving size of it. The other thing is also a timer thing, where you can set a timer for 15 minutes while you're eating, and you have to use the whole 15 minutes to eat your snack.
Oh,
The yummy, yummy carbs.
well, I've never heard I'm going to try that for sure.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we have our biggest challenge, right? Now we're going to move into, setting a goal first with that, right? So for both Carla and Mari, right, we're looking at a habit for food, fitness, and mindset. And even tonight, if I'm going to go over the process within the goal guide, but even if you don't have a habit for all three, like if one of those areas just feels like it's working right now, you don't feel like you have to have a habit for this month, right? And the mindset one, if that one's like minimal for you or whatever, you could literally say, I meditate once a week, or I do affirmations once a week. Like, I want you guys to keep in mind that it can be really simple. So we're going to pull up the worksheet, and I want you to come, if you guys have it present, this is what it will look like, where you guys can write out the first month or this month. So you can put April there. And RSLE, you can just write down on your paper, like April. We're going to skip this part, but just to explain it, you guys I've given you an extra month in the worksheet, so you can also use this for May. And what you'll do in May is you will reflect on April. You'll celebrate a win. You'll actually say how you celebrated, whether a non-food or clothing celebration, preferably, unless it's shoes. But maybe you did buy yourself like some makeup, or we can't get massages right now. I don't know, binged a TV show, whatever is a cool like acknowledgement or celebration for you. You'll share next month one thing that was challenging about April, and then you'll also try and reflect, how is this challenge pushing me forward? How is this challenge a gift? How is this challenge asking me to grow? How is this challenge making me stronger? So that's what this challenge is a gift means. This is a section too, where you'll also in May be able to reflect on April and track, oh, I hit my goals 75%. And I'll show you what that means. Little tidbits. All right, so here's our example. So in the workbook, you guys have a blank page, should look like this. So RSLE, on your paper, you can just write down fitness, food, mindset, and we're gonna pop in a little weekly goal for each. So as an example for fitness goal, I put on here, run 2 miles and time it 2 times per week. So that means once I ran my 2 miles, I would put it in here and I would put the time. This one's like pretty specific. Another example could be, I will do my virtual workouts at least 3 times a week. So you're just tracking it weekly. Everyone go ahead and think of a fitness goal if you have one. And the format that you're going to write it down is, I do this number of times per week. So it's habits-based, it's specific, it's a baby step from where you are now to where you want to be. And once you have your fitness goal, just give me a thumbs up or let me know if you have a question or want guidance around what to make it. All right, good. Nice. Cool. Okay, so next, let's do the mindset goal next. So mindset goal, you can also think of your self-talk. You can think of something that relaxes you in this time. Maybe it's one of your favorite, quarantine activities. Something that you're not already doing. It's a baby step to you feeling more relaxation, feeling more self-positivity. If you've never done affirmations, that's a really, really great one. Even if they feel funny at first, they're actually, once done consistently, changing our brain connections to where we will start to believe them. So they're actually scientifically based. So go ahead and think of your mindset goal. This one could even be, I get outside, once a week. Hopefully, probably more than once a week. But make it super sustainable, just one step up of what you're doing now. Another good one, especially if when we're experiencing some emotional or stress eating or boredom out of eating, is trying getting in the habit of taking a moment right before you eat to take a few deep breaths and have gratitude for your food and do a little bit of self-talk of like, this is nourishing me, this is going to be delicious. So even if it's the treat or the thing that's, the carbs or whatever, if we're taking a little bit of a moment before we eat, that in itself can help slow us down. And can contribute to a more nourishing mindset, as opposed to us thinking while we're eating, I shouldn't be eating this, I shouldn't be eating this, I need to stop eating this, right? So taking a moment before you eat. So once you guys have your mindset goal, give me a thumbs up. Cool. Okay. And last one is the food goal. So you can use one of the tangible tips if they feel relevant to you. I sit down and take 15 minutes, at least one meal a day, something like that. If it feels unsustainable to say every single meal, which I think that would be more overwhelming, but maybe it's lunch, right? Or maybe it's dinner, so that whatever meal maybe it is that you feel you're overeating, or a snack where you're overeating, or a time of day that you're feeling kind of stressed, sometimes that afternoon snacking. So you can be super specific and say, 5 times a week for my afternoon snack, I take 15 minutes. And when you guys have your food goal, give me a thumbs up. Cool. All right. So we're gonna wrap up and I'll see who wants to share. And if you have questions, we're gonna do one more closed eyes. So go ahead and sit again with your eyes closed and think about the challenge that feels really present for you. Whether it is the situation that's at hand, and knowing that this stressful, kind of out of control, uncertain environment that we've all been thrown into is kind of feeding into the challenge or contributing to the challenge, and just recognizing that, not being in victim mentality or pitying yourself, but just recognizing that the challenge is there for a really good reason. Our challenges are always here because our body is trying to tell us that it feels off. It feels anxious. It feels like out of control, or like stuff outside of it is out of control. So just recognizing that it's not us saying like, oh, poor me, this is never going to change, like I shouldn't feel this way. It's just recognizing that there is a really good reason why this challenge is here. And at the end of the day, it's asking me how I want to show up every day in my self-care, in my nourishing myself, in my self-compassion, and knowing that for the rest of our lives, we probably want to have some sort of balance with food, where it's okay to experience the treats. It's even okay to experience some emotional eating, because eating is physiologically creating a positive response in our bodies anytime we eat. It just is. So knowing that that's okay and it's nothing to feel bad about. So I want you to picture now what your challenge looks like on the other side. How do you feel having overcome this challenge? How do you feel come April 30th if I were to say, hey, how is your food habit coming? And you feel, oh, I feel really confident. I feel more consistent. I feel strong. I feel a little more in control. Think of how you want to feel when you're on the other side of it. Think of maybe the freedom in your mind if there's less food guilt there, and maybe the behavior has kind of weaned back a little bit. So think of what it looks like on the other side, specifically how you want to feel. Think of a word. I want to feel sexy, strong, confident. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel free. I want to feel more in control. I want to feel relaxed around food. And when you have that one word that kind of embodies you on the other side of the challenge, go ahead and open your eyes. Does anyone want to share their word?
Comfortable.
Comfortable?
Yeah, I just want to feel comfortable with everything that I'm doing, with my fitness, with my healthy eating habits, and in my mindset. Right now, like you said, is a lot going on. And besides that, I have a lot going on in my own personal life. So I just want to be comfortable with everything.
Do you have, thank you for sharing that. Do you have any moment in the day, particularly first thing in the morning or last thing at night, that you have a little space to yourself?
Yeah, actually right now, since 2 weeks ago, actually I'm just by myself. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays from 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night. So my husband works long shifts, and he's here Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, and part of the Sunday in the morning. And that's the part when all my kind of all my mindset and my scheduling time and my healthy habits just
When he's home,
disappear. Yeah, when my husband is at home. It just
sometimes that
disappears.
happens.
Yeah.
Okay. What is a really good, thank you also again for sharing that. So possibly choosing maybe even one thing a day that has you feel like you're on track for what you would normally do. And I would invite you to have that conversation with him. Let him know, be like, hey, this is, the, like, ease him into it, like, and be excited about it, right? Because share with him how you feel when you're able to for sure get your workout in, or, eat a healthy meal, and have that conversation together where, he's on board for you sticking to what you want to do, even if it's just for one thing a day. Does that make sense? And does that sound doable?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Great. I think that would be helpful, because it's and Carla knows this. Well, everyone on this call but Araceli knows my fiance Bruce. But I'm sitting at his desk, and like my desk is over there, so we actually have been sharing an office space literally together 24/7 in this quarantine, and even before, because he was working from home. Now he has a job away from the house, but literally he asked me today on the phone, he was like, it's literally been 2 days, today's Tuesday, he was like, since I've been working out of the house, like, how have things been for you? Because he'll like sometimes turn the news on, and like I don't like the news on all day. I can put my headphones in, but there's something that feels a little more distracted. And I told him, I was like, I think I've been more productive. So I feel it's different when there's another routine interacting with ours and it's not really the same as ours. It can pull us off course. It's important for you to stand for your routine even in a small way. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Anyone else want to share their word that they're moving into April with, what you want to experience by the end of April?
My word, I couldn't really find my word, and I was trying to find like a thesaurus. I was trying to see if I could figure it out. I don't want to feel guilty. So what is the opposite of not feeling guilty?
Mm-hmm. And it can be a phrase too, but it is important, and I love that you're saying that, to phrase it in the positive.
Yes.
We want to focus not on what we don't want to do, but what we do want. So a word that comes to mind around that is freedom or peace. I want to feel at ease around food. I want to feel peaceful with food. I want to feel permission around food. So you can think on the exact wording of it. But when you guys have it, this part, you'll see at in the monthly section, there is an affirmation, and that's where you will put your word. So Araceli can say, I am comfortable. And you can put it as a phrase. I am comfortable with my food, fitness, and mindset, behaviors, habits. I am feeling, you can use the word guilt-free. I am feeling guilt-free around food. Because that kind of keeps the same word, but we're flipping it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Awesome. Cool. So you guys now have a very baby step, tangible goal for food, fitness, and mindset to walk into April, and they should all feel like this is one step right outside of my comfort zone or where I am now, but I'm up for the challenge and I feel like I can do it. So thumbs up if you feel that way right now.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Cool. Well, we will wrap it up there. Does anyone have any questions for me or want to share any of your other goals?
I just want to say this was really helpful because, like, it's funny because I was thinking about my challenge, right? And the like emotional eating, whatever. And then once I created the like little, like, I like how you broke it down because my food goal is, to, okay, so to snack whenever I want to on Saturday and Sunday, but Monday through Friday, I stick to my normal original plan, like, you know, my like normal eating that like, you know, is nourishing and whatnot. And then choose one day of that week that I can pick like a fun snack, just like a wild card. So maybe like Thursday, it's like, you know, I want to eat some chips and whatever. And it's like, that's going to be my wild card. But on Saturday and Sunday, I'm not going to pay attention. I just kind of let myself like do whatever and eat how I feel, instead of, and building that structure. So that's my goal.
That is a really, really great example of structure and flow, right? You, and also knowing that there's a permission within the week is, I think, really important. And I'm happy that you put that in there, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Anyone else want to ask a question or share another goal, their like fitness or mindset goal?
I have a fitness goal that I want to do. I have no problem working out with F45, you know, I don't have a problem with that at all, you know, but since we have all this time, my goal is to find 2 new, whether it's meditation or just finding a new instructor that I could take a class twice a week, or a new class, something that I've never done, since we have all this time. So I think I'm gonna do that.
Do you, yeah. Do you prefer it to be in the format of like you will join live to follow along, or does that seem best, or like an app?
No. Like do it live, because I like that interaction. So yes.
Cool. So I'm going to put in the chat box our friend, that's not the link, but it's her username on Instagram. Do you see where you can open the chat if you go to the bottom right? Yeah, you can like click the chat icon to open it and see. So Rachel Recharged, she's the one who I talked about, does the, she has her own method called the recharge method. So it's a meditation and movement combination. So you'll do things like squats, like you'll definitely get your cardio in, there's some high knees, you'll definitely get your heart rate up. But then she also walks through a very like emotionally releasing process where it's kind of like we did at the beginning. You might just be like dancing or shaking out, and she's super energetic and amazing. And she's doing very regular Instagram live workouts right now.
Oh, okay.
So I would recommend checking her out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Araceli, do you have any questions?
No, I think that I'm fine. And I have my mindset goal. For me, running helped me out a lot with the stress. So my goal is just to go and run or walk fast, whatever it is, 2 times a week.
Got it. Ooh, that's a little like mindset / fitness goal, huh?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. And that's something that you're not already doing right now, huh?
No, not at all.
Great. Yeah, it'll be great to see how that helps, lift the mood and have you feel that relaxation.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome, ladies. Well, you can always email me to tessie@tessietracy.com if you have questions moving forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing, I might check in with y'all anyways sometime in April to see how it's going.
Thank you.
So much.
Yay.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Thanks, Tessie.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Nice